Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round, and today I'm reviewing James Gunn's Superman movie. That's right, it was my most anticipated movie of the year, one that I had been excited and, if I'm being honest, a little apprehensive for ever since I found out it was announced that James Gunn was taking over DC, kind of reshuffling everything and starting the universe over anew from the DCEU. So, does Superman live up to the hype? Does James Gunn deliver on everything that we thought he could? And is it groundbreaking and everything that Man of Steel wasn't? Yes, no, kind of. Let's get into James Gunn's Superman. I'm going to keep this spoiler free. I do plan on doing a much more in depth spoiler analysis where I'm going to compare James Gunn's Superman to Man of Steel to Richard Donner's 1978 movie. So be on the lookout for that video when it comes out, where I will delve much deeply into spoilers. I might even do like a long form podcast like review of this movie with spoilers. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want. But let's talk about this movie. So, as I said, this was my most anticipated movie. It's the start of a new universe, and first and foremost, I have to give James Gunn credit. He understands not just the character of Superman, he understands the lore of DC itself. This movie is just oozing with DC mythos and lore and references that I didn't get, that I later went home and had to Google, like, what's this character's oh, that joke was referencing how this character did this in this comic book. And even my friend Patrick, who's a little bit more well versed in the DC comic book lore than I am, I'm more a movie fan. He's more so a comic book fan. He was like, "Oh yeah, well this is referencing this, and this is so." I love that it's in an age where movies, especially big budget blockbuster movies like this, feel like corporate products that are made by committee. James Gunn's Superman is just that, James Gunn's. It has his stamp on it, but it has his passion on it. There's a real love of the character and the universe as a whole. And if anyone I think deserves to have the universe in their hands to be guiding it, it is someone who so clearly loves it. We jump in kind of in the middle of everything. This is not a Superman origin story. He's been out in the world as Superman for, I think it says 3 years in the text at the beginning, where the world kind of knows who he is already. Well, not that he's Clark Kent, but we'll get to that. There's other metahumans. There's Green Lantern in the form of Guy Gardner. There's Hawkgirl. There's Mr. Terrific. We learn that they're just the ones kind of around this area, but there are other. The world knows about the existence of metahumans. So this is not the, oh, it's a bird, it's a plane. What's that? It's Superman. Everyone knows who he is already. And in a weird way, and I know a lot of critics of, well, I say critics, it's mostly Snyder fanboys, we're coming at this movie in the comments of the trailer saying, "Oh, it looks like a CW show. It doesn't look or feel cinematic." And in a way, they're kind of right. It feels almost like a live action long episode of Superman the animated series. But I don't see that as an insult, and I don't see that as a bad thing, because it is very much the point. It's intentional. It's set amidst this lore, and you can just feel this movie is so, it's rich in its own universe without feeling like it needs to detract away to be like, "Oh, we're trying to set this up. We're trying to set this up. We're trying to set this up." It doesn't feel that way at all. In fact, one of my big concerns going into this movie was, I love James Gunn. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love his Suicide Squad movie, but he does kind of have a template where his movies are about groups of like ragtag, lovable misfits that find a family together, but they're weird, they're quirky. There's a lot of banter, there's a lot of quipping, not quite to the Joss Whedon level of quipping we saw in the Marvel movies and the Whedon cut of Justice League, but it's still there. And I worried, is that going to work for a character like Superman, who is a little bit more serious? But I think he struck the balance just right. David Cornsweet is a great Superman. He's a great Clark Kent. And I realized I love him because of how human he feels. He's not perfect. Yes, he has the superpowers. He can fly. He's super strong and all that. But as a person, he doesn't have all the answers. He makes mistakes. He's not perfect from the start. And it humanizes him and it makes him relatable, which is something that I know they've struggled with Superman and making him relatable because he's almost too powerful. And I love, and the movie kind of gets into it a little bit where one of its major themes, what does it mean to be human? What does it mean to be of this world? He's an alien, and it's in his choices, but his flaws that make him so human. And I think that's something we can all really, really relate to. I also really liked how the supporting cast is amazing, but it never feels like they're taking over the movie or they're taking too much attention. Like, this is a Superman movie first and foremost. I remember seeing the trailers thinking, "Oh, we're gonna have Green Lantern and Hawkgirl and Mr. Terrific. How's like we're already doing team ups?" And they're there and they have their moments to shine and they're all hilarious and entertaining in their own way, especially Nathan Fillion, who just is the perfect Guy Gardner. I mean, he's basically playing, Captain Hammer like he was in Dr. Horrible Sing Along blog, but it kind of fits perfectly for this character. But like I'm saying, at no point does it feel like they are taking over the movie or taking it away from Superman. He's the one that has the character arc. He's the one that has to go on the journey, learning about himself and trying to be the best hero he can be. If anyone steals the movie, it's Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. In keeping true with DC fashion, you have the villain stealing the show, much like Heath Ledger did in The Dark Knight, much like Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey did in Batman Forever, much like even Gene Hackman kind of did in the 1978 Superman movie. He gets billing over Superman. And while that doesn't happen here, Luthor is such a fun villain. We're past that. I'm not here to like necessarily just criticize and take jabs at everything Snyder did. There's a later video for that. But I think this kind of masters the younger, cocky version of Lex Luthor mixed with like the tech bro billionaire. He's a narcissist, he's arrogant, and just like Superman's mere existence, he cannot stand. But I like how he's smart enough that for a lot of the movie, he's playing the US government. He's manipulating them and he's telling them exactly what they want to hear. And he knows exactly how to get them to do his bidding in a way that, in an age where governments are more corrupt than ever and where billionaires can kind of do whatever they want, that unfortunately feels very, very relatable. I love his family in this. I know that that doesn't really, I don't think it gets as much attention. We see Jonathan and Martha Kent. They're not in it too much, but I really really like them here because, and I think this was an excellent choice by James Gunn, they're not played by celebrities. They're played by character actors that when you see them, they feel like regular people. And I think that that humbles Superman even more and it makes them feel like I'm not watching it being like, "Oh, well, that's Kevin Costner and Diane Lane." As great actors as they are, I look at them and I say, "That's Kevin Costner and Diane Lane." So it adds to it. Like I said, it's not an origin story, but we get little references to, how they found him, how he was raised, on the farm and all that. And can we talk about crypto? I think certain fans will roll their eyes like, "Oh, why do we have like a CGI dog? It's just here for the kids and to sell toys." And I mean, yeah, partially it is. I know that it's there to kind of grab your attention. It's there to be fun. It's there to be whimsical. I have no doubt that, come this Christmas, I will probably be getting, crypto stuffed animals for both my daughters because I'm sure it's going to be the hottest selling toy this year. But I think just the fact that he's included in it's the first time he's ever been included in a movie. Again, it humanizes Superman and kind of makes him all the more all American in that he does have a pet dog. There was a lot I loved about it. I loved again, I'm gonna keep it spoiler free. I'm not gonna get too much into this specific plot itself, but I love the story. Yes, it feels kind of episodic, but like I said, that's the point. I love the world. I love the humor. I love that it has heart though. It has and that's something you see even in Guardians of the Galaxy, even in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. He loves these characters and they feel real and they hurt, they love, there's more they're funny, but underneath that, there's so much more, and I think that's very much on display here. My only real major criticism that I wish James Gunn had done differently, and I know I've said this before on, like, Twitter posts and whatnot. I love the John Williams score. It's amazing. I love the remix they did, with the electric guitar. They use it at all the right moments and it really you're almost in tears the way they use it and the way that like it hammers in this is Superman. This is truth, justice in the American way. I wish James Gunn had commissioned a new theme. I'm not saying he shouldn't have used the John Williams theme here and there, or that it shouldn't have been used in the movie at all. I'm not saying that at all. I just think that this version of Superman not having his own unique theme, just borrowing, the original theme, it robs him of having his own identity. I think musical themes are such an important component of movies and filmmaking that say what you want about Man of Steel, that Hans Zimmer Ideal of Hope theme is amazing. It's not necessarily better than the John Williams one, but it's different and it gives that iteration of Superman his own identity. And I wish that this one had it. That's maybe just a weird nitpick by me, but it's something that kind of bugged me and I sort of had to say it. There's probably more I'm missing. Like I said, that this was a just really entertaining, fun, you know, if you're tired of Marvel movies that feel like they're just aimlessly wandering and don't know what they're doing, this is very much the cure to that. And everything I was apprehensive or worried about, those fears were put at ease, and everything I was excited about, it delivered on. If this is to be the first of the James Gunn DC universe, let it be the first. Let someone who so clearly loves this lore, loves the source material, continue to make movies with it. But hey, these are just my thoughts. This is just my ramblings. This is just my review. Let me know in the comments, what did you think of James Gunn's Superman? How did it compare for you to, say, Man of Steel, the 1978 original, even Superman Returns? That one gets overlooked a lot, but I enjoy a lot of it. Like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, you may end up being targeted by an evil, corrupt billionaire that's out to get you and somehow manipulates the US government into turning on you as well. And as always, every day is Halloween.